Welcome back to Long COVID MD. I'm Dr. Zeest Khan. I am a licensed physician with Long COVID. I am also someone who has kids and has a family, and I'm recording right now in the middle of November, which means the holidays are upon us. It can be a super hectic time, and it's gotten me thinking about how I'm going to navigate the holidays without it being detrimental to my health, because I can certainly crash after a stressful, hectic time. So I thought, what better way to think through things than with my good friend who's also going through a lot of the same stuff that I am. Katherine Marie is joining me. She is a patient and a patient advocate with Long COVID. She's an advanced practice nurse. She has a podcast. We met through my podcast, and so you can already tell we have a lot in common. Katherine Marie, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
It is so great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And yes, I heard her during her podcast and reached out because I was like, oh my gosh, someone else with long COVID who practices medicine. And it was a great friendship for like 2, 3 years now. I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah, we both fell ill a while ago and really had heart to hearts through email, and then
Yeah.
got to connect. And it's been so helpful to really have your long COVID friends.
Definitely.
You, we just said that we met a few years ago, so that means we have a few years of experience going through this time of year. And you and I actually talked last year about how to navigate the holidays. Before we kind of jump into that stuff, is there anything else you want to tell the listener about you and your experience with long COVID?
Just that I have a partner, a dog, and a cat, and a almost 6-year-old who was
That
two,
too.
I think, when I first got long COVID. So it's been a journey.
It sure has. We all have expectations during this holiday season, and it brings up a lot of emotions, especially when you have children. So we'll touch on how you manage those expectations and still enjoy your holiday season. So I went through the wonderful internet and tried to collect some advice that other, maybe wiser people have put together about how to survive the holidays when you have a fatiguing illness. And I found 5 pieces of information, or 5 pieces of advice. They are pretty simple, but they're not easy. And I thought you and I could go through each one and talk about how we follow that advice, if it's helpful, and how important it is. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay, so the first piece of advice is to plan your energy like a budget. Treat your energy as a limited resource and spend only about 80% of what you think you have each day. Build in scheduled rest periods before, during, and after events. So it's basically pacing and to do
Or spoon
less than
theory.
your maximum. So easy, right?
No, it is not easy. As you are alluding to there. I think that the hardest part for me is that a lot of times in the moment, my body won't give me the feedback that I need. So planning it ahead of time, like a budget, is really helpful. And this also reminds me of the spoon theory that has been used for so long with a lot of the other, how did you put it? The
Fatiguing illnesses.
fatiguing illnesses. Yes, we've borrowed some of their knowledge and wisdom of their experience over the years. And so thinking about the spoons helps me a little bit. Yeah, so I usually what I do with my days right now is after I drop off the little one from to school, then I will come home and take a nap and then get up and do something for about 90 minutes and then take a nap and then do something for it's just kind of like back and forth, back and forth. And for last night, we were trying to put up the Christmas tree because there are some things going on in our families this year that are making it more difficult than usual. So we wanted to have the Christmas tree up because it puts us in a good mood. So I was putting up the Christmas lights, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, I'm really tired. And then I had to go take a 2-hour nap and then came back and, continued to do some ornaments. Couldn't do very many, had to go sleep again. So having your like thinking about it ahead of time and budgeting out your energy is really, really, really smart if you can do it. Yeah, it's definitely good to do.
Yeah, I find it really challenging to stick to limits when, especially around the holidays or before a celebration or before a big event, because there's deadlines and there's, things you absolutely want to do. And you want to push through and get it all done. We talked, I think last year about like setting expectations for the holidays, so that it's actually realistic. Like the stuff you want to do is actually within your reach. How have you been doing any of that, and how is that working out? Is your holiday season, does it look different now than it did a few years ago?
Yes, it's different than it was last year because my daughter's birthday is very close to Christmas. And last year, I remember when we were talking at the time, I had put her birthday party on her birthday, which was the week of Christmas. And it was not such a good idea because it didn't really allow for much rest before or after. And most of the people couldn't come because everyone kind of has their own thing that they're doing. So this year, I put her birthday the first Saturday in December, so that way it will be less. And this year she decided to do Chuck E. Cheese, so that's less for me to do, just kind of bring balloons, and then I don't have to hire someone to, make balloon animals or whatever. So I'm hoping that this was a good energy choice for this year.
I bet it was, because just, separating those two things is kind of a simple and straightforward way to be able to get done what is most important. Because, like, the big goal is to celebrate her birthday and have it sounds like a unique celebration that's distinct from Christmas, and to do it in a way that you can actually all enjoy. But that can be really hard to sift through what is tradition that I want to keep that's really important, and what is the best way for me to do it. Because our parents might have been doing things a little bit differently than we can. And it doesn't mean that we're losing a tradition or doing things wrong. I think a lot of people, myself included, had a really hard time sifting through, what does this holiday actually mean for me? What do I want to incorporate if I can't do everything?
I remember you mentioning that before, and it was really helpful to me because growing up, we had so much Christmas stuff. I mean, so much, and so many traditions. And it was really helpful last year, and I'm going to continue to do it this year, to just kind of look at each thing and decide what we want it to be, what we still want to have a part of our Christmas, and what we can kind of let go, and what new things we want. or how to do it different, like do the same thing but do it differently. For example, growing up, we used to cut down our tree every year. And it was really fun because we would go with my uncle and aunt and my cousins, and we would go like hiking through, this tree farm, and we would cut down and then drag our tree back to our car, and they'd wrap it up with the rope, and then, we would take it home. And then you have to put it in the water for a week to make it not, to fireproof it. I don't know if that's even a thing, but that's what they said when I was little. And then you can decorate it, and usually you just have it up for 2 or 3 weeks. But the thing that I love about the artificial tree is that first you have much more control over how big it is. Ours is very tall, but it's not very wide, so it doesn't take up tons of space, but it still is really pretty to look at. And if you like to use the Christmas tree as a mood booster, then you can put it up early and take it down late, and it's not a fire hazard. It's fine. You can have it up as long as you want. And there, you just don't have the time constraints that you do with a live tree. So that is one example of trying to do it differently than we used to do it, and it still came out okay.
I bet it came out more than okay. I mean, a lot of the times we just have to let go of guilt and open our minds a little bit and allow some self-compassion and be like, we're still gonna have fun. I like to think about it because we don't celebrate Christmas, or I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas. We do in our household now because it's fun and like you said, a mood booster. But for the holidays that we do celebrate, I had to think about, instead of thinking I can't do it the right way, because that's really like shame inducing. I started thinking, this is how I choose to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And it felt more proactive, and it felt more intentional, and it didn't feel so hurtful, I guess.
Or like as burdensome.
Yes. Yeah. Like you were trying to maintain an obligation that you didn't really even have in the first place. Yeah. So there's always a tinge of sadness when we talk about living our lives with long COVID. But let's move to the next piece of advice, which is prepare for the event and not just during it. So plan logistics so you can reduce decision making and reduce your exertion. And the examples that I have are things like pre-cooking meals, delegating tasks, scheduling rides, and identifying a quiet place to rest. I will say this last part, identifying a quiet place to rest when you're going anywhere or going to an event, whether it's a friend's house, a family member's, or even, like a work outing, like a conference. That was a game changer for me because it allowed me a place to recoup and take a break and come back feeling better. It made me feel less kind of stuck there and feeling nervous about having to be on for the whole event.
It's smart.
How are you planning things?
The biggest thing, I haven't thought about Christmas yet, but every like 2 or 3 weekends, my husband works on the weekend. So what I usually do is I just think through the weekend and I figure out when I think I'm going to need a break, and then I'll hire childcare so that I can take a nap. And it seems when I'm planning it that I'm overdoing it and like planning too much rest, and it's almost embarrassing. But then a lot of times by the time I'm actually in the weekend, I'm so grateful that I've planned. Our person who helps us out is Susie. So Susie's great. And She takes my daughter to the park and gives me a chance to take a nap. So Susie days are great days.
We all need
And
Susie days.
yeah, they are good days.
It's so smart though, because you know yourself at a certain point, and the idea that it's embarrassing to kind of ask for help or hire help is something that's kind of always going to be there until you decide that you're not going to be embarrassed about it anymore. You're just dealing in reality. Like you may
Yeah,
not want to need
right.
assistance, but that doesn't change the reality that you do. And so planning accordingly is actually not a weakness, it's a sign of wisdom.
I like how you say it. That's better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is still a work in progress for me though, because I still do convince myself that I can do whatever it is that I want to do and I'll be fine. But the delegating tasks part is still challenging for me. But I've gotten better, like with my kids, for their after school activities. I'll ask other parents for carpool, one sided carpool, because I won't typically return the favor. I'm not able to. And they know and they're okay with it. I wonder if because this piece of advice was talking about reducing decision fatigue. Is there stuff in your life that you have on autopilot now that help you?
Yes, we have Susie days on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she picks up my daughter from the after school program and stays and like puts her to bed. So usually during the week, I always know, like for a while, I was scheduling everyone and thinking, oh, is this week, do I really need someone 2 days, whatever. But then after I just kind of let it go and just made it a regular thing, then that helped a lot because I didn't have to think about it. The only thing I have to make sure is that I have to pay her. I have to remember to get money to pay her. But other than that, it's like a well-oiled machine. And
That's
it's nice
awesome.
because you can fall back on it. Like
Mhm.
on Tuesday you don't mind if you're going to do a little more than you thought because you know that Susie is coming and you can take a nap in a few hours. So,
It also, I imagine, helps bring some rhythm back into our lives, because having long COVID can really throw you off when you're not able to have your daily time markers, your monthly or quarterly time markers of like clocking
yep.
in, clocking out at work, whether that's like projects, whether that's your school schedule, and having these smaller rhythms in your life also bring some peace, like some sense of order. And we can really miss that when our days are, sort of drag and they blend in.
Yeah. I think the part that I miss the most is when, if we did not have Susie, is just having somebody like to talk to because when you are not working, you don't have that camaraderie with your coworkers and you're not experiencing the same thing together all day where you can kind of vent to each other and get through the day together. You're just kind of by yourself. So I can talk to Susie about it, but or I'll call one of my sisters, or I'll tell my husband about it when he gets home. But that I definitely miss that having the coworkers and having the people to talk to all day when you're at home when you've got long COVID.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a water cooler at work, like
Right.
the water cooler talk is so important, and it really breaks up the monotony. And like you here, you've got your sisters and your husband, but like sometimes you want like a fresh opinion, like, oh, What are
Yeah.
you experiencing and thinking and up to? What's going on out there in the world?
Also, having an outside set of eyes coming in to look at your home and how it's run can really be insightful and make you see things that you didn't realize that, needed to change, or that you should be doing that you weren't, or whatever.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Has that helped kind of have you made changes based on Susie's input? Or has
Yes,
there,
we definitely have. I can't think of a specific one off the top of my head, but she always has good advice, and she has a grown child, also an only child. So she understands having just one and needing to give so much attention to one little person.
yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like she mentioned to us that she needs a space that's more her own besides her bedroom. I didn't even think of that because I don't know, I didn't really, we had a play area, but we don't really have the same spacing in the houses in this area as opposed to like in the Midwest, your houses are a lot bigger. So just trying to, we moved a table over her little table from her room, and we made another area for her to do artwork, because she said, oh, she really needs her own space. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so it's insightful when you have another set of eyes, sometimes looking at your stuff.
Absolutely. So having that like schedule can be really helpful. If you can get even more help during the holidays or the times leading up to a holiday, that can be a worthwhile investment. And this is where I feel like you either can, pay for help or barter services, lean on your community. Take the first steps to ask, and people will say yes or no. But you might need some extra hands if you want to do something out of your ordinary, and a heavier task. So do that, and then the decision fatigue for me is real. I heard someone use the term grocery store syndrome or supermarket syndrome. When you walk into a supermarket, I think almost everybody with long COVID has experienced this. We're like, why is grocery shopping so particularly difficult? And it's because you're in a new environment, you have a lot of decisions to make, and you have to find things. That's a lot of executive decisions all at once. It's sensory overload, and you kind of burn out by doing that. And so whatever decisions you can make ahead of time, like having a list, having knowing which aisles you're going to go to prepare is really helpful. Likewise, if you're leading up to a big event, lean on food that is pre-prepared, that's frozen, that is easily accessible, whatever your dietary needs are, so that you already have those decisions done. Making small decisions when you have cognitive injury is not a small thing. And so, whatever you can do ahead of time to offload that responsibility in the moment is going to help you. The next advice, number 3, is to set clear, kind boundaries. Communicate your limits early and stick to them. So another small quote unquote thing,
Easy
family.
peasy.
Family expectations, social expectations. How have you been doing with this topic?
I think this is the worst one for me by far. I think that the the part of me the part of me that doesn't believe that this is the new me, the part of me that still feels like I'm still my old self sometimes because you're around people who haven't seen you ill and they see you and you look fine to them. So it's hard not to play into the same dynamics that you did before you got sick. So I would say I'm more likely to minimize my symptoms. I'm more likely to not want to say anything or, or I don't want to seem like I'm making a big deal about it. I usually, I struggle with this one tremendously. How about you?
Yeah, same. It was such a big heartbreak when I got sick to see the way my family relationships were impacted. Your loved ones, whether that's, romantic relationships, friendships, family dynamics, people can take it personally. That like you're changing because you don't like them as much anymore. You don't care about me as much anymore. You weren't like this before. You're not coming to my Thanksgiving dinner because you don't like me. And that's offending and hurting me. So setting clear and kind boundaries is fantastic advice. But doing it is super hard. I had to be courageous in a way that I wasn't before by sort of sticking to my guns and saying, I would love to do this, but I can't do this. I used to do this, but I can't do this now. That I was afraid to say that. I think partly because I was afraid of the response and I was afraid of hurting somebody I love. But I was also afraid that by saying it, I was making it true.
Right.
And that was really hard to accept that, like, no, I actually have to admit to myself and to someone else that I don't have capacity to do something that I liked to do before.
Yeah, I think I struggle with that a lot because it's really easy to, if you stay within your energy envelope and you're not doing all the things that cause you to flare up, you can feel kind of normal for a while. So then you start to think, oh, I'm healed. And like, I can't tell you how many times having long COVID over the last, 4 years almost, I've thought, oh, I've had a day where I don't have as many symptoms. Like, oh, I must be getting better. I must be fine. I'm getting well. And then I realize that that's not the case, as always. But it always cracks me up how much I fall into that over such a long period of time. The one example that I was thinking about the clear, kind boundaries, I'm not good with the verbal boundaries. So I remember we went to someone's house for dinner. It was outside. It was like a barbecue type thing. And I didn't verbally make a good boundary, so my body took care of it for me. And when I ate dinner, as soon as I was done, I said, oh, I don't feel so well. I need to go lay down. And I went to my car and laid in the passenger seat. And my friends came outside and they were like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I just really need to sleep right now. And they had never seen me like that, So they're not used to seeing me like that. So in a way, I found it kind of funny because I thought, gosh, if I'd only been able to say like my boundaries, then my body wouldn't have had to do it for me. But they were able to see in real time what happens if you don't set the boundaries. And
Yeah, and it speaks to this struggle that all of us probably have in explaining and sort of feeling like we have to prove our illness I only see my friends and family when I feel well enough, and I try to look presentable. But that means that they only see me when I'm feeling well and I look presentable. It takes a lot of vulnerability to let someone see that side of you. It's hard to explain post-exertional malaise.
Yep.
It's hard to say I have to leave now before I feel terrible. So it's better to set expectations ahead of time. So besides the taking a break, when you need it, have there been any verbal communications that have worked?
Yes. We went to our friend's house for Christmas. They had an open house for Christmas, and they were so kind and thoughtful, and they actually made sure there was a room for me to lay down.
Oh,
I was so touched. And on top of that, there was someone who was a little heavy-handed on the libations, and they tried to kind of like intercede because I was getting really tired about, talking to somebody, even though it was fun, because when you are heavy-handed on the libations, you don't pick up the social cues, the small
no.
social cues,
Yeah.
So they were able to take over that conversation for a little while to let me have some breathing room. So, yeah, I think the people that you let into this new life that you have, it takes a little while for them to get it because it takes me a while to get it. But after a few rounds, a few visits, or just hearing what your life is like, they can be a better advocate for you than you are in a way. Like I would have never even thought to ask, can I have a room to lay down in? I mean, that was just really like completely did not ask ahead of time. They just said, oh, we have a room for you to lay down in. That was really, really sweet. I think the other thing with setting the clear boundaries and kind boundaries is ahead of time. I remember last year or 2 years ago, we had some friends that wanted to hang out the day after Thanksgiving. And they live in they live like two hours away. So we would have to drive. And I knew there was no humanly possible way that I could spend the whole Thanksgiving with one group of friends and then go to another city and spend another whole day with another group of friends. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And so just not allowing that plan to occur was my way of setting boundaries. And we ended up going the following weekend and it was fine. But I remember every time people are asking for my time, part of me feels angry because I think like, oh, why do they have to ask? Like I would never ask, if I knew but they don't know, or they just aren't thinking about, how your illness is affecting, the holidays for you. So, it's just really good to verbally and also like spatially set boundaries with your time so that you have time to recover.
I totally agree. What's worked for me is, I'm from a South Asian family. Everything we do is always big, and there's always like multiple days, like for a wedding, for instance. I can't do, 3 days of events of like dressing up, even though it's super fun. But I have, I want to see my family members. I want my kids to participate in this like super fun part of our culture. And so what I've learned to do is focus on quality over quantity. Like pick one way I'm gonna participate and enjoy that, because I have a tendency to be kind of hard on myself and want to do everything 150%. And instead, what I've learned to do is shift that mindset and instead be like, how am I going to engage in this? How am I going to enjoy myself with this? Let's really do it and let's really enjoy it. So even if I can only go for an hour, what I can do is get dressed up, be super happy, bring my family, meet the people who I want to meet, give my present, give my congratulations, have a good attitude and an open attitude about it, and then say, okay, we're done. And when I communicate that ahead of time to the host, to the friend, whatever, then we're kind of set. Then I say, okay, well, my time is up and I'm going to go. And we don't have to have an awkward experience or interaction in the moment. We've already done that decision making ahead of time, that explanation ahead of time, and say, this is what I can do. And then you like leave with an air of mystery. You know, family and relationship dynamics can be really sticky. Try to remind yourself and the other person that this isn't a personal attack or an attempted insult. Just be like, this is what I have to offer. This is what I would love to do. I'd love to join you for X, Y, and Z time, and then I'm going to go. But I know everybody has different relationships, and they can be a really big stressor. So I wish everybody luck. It's been really hard.
I love how you said that, though. You said something like, I would love to, I'm excited to. I think that personally, I struggle, like, I foresee like negativity coming. So
Yeah.
I am immediately defensive or focusing on the negative. But for other people, when they have set boundaries with me, if they say we're so excited, it doesn't matter to me anything else because they've shared in, the same emotion that I'm feeling. So I think that's something that I've been trying to work on that I think can really change the tone of the conversation is just how you say it, like how you just said it.
Yeah, I shifted from being apologetic to just being straightforward. Like, I can't stay for the whole thing, but I'm really looking forward to coming, and then we're going to have to leave at 2.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great.
So the next one we kind of hit on, so we'll kind of zip through, build recovery time into the schedule. So once you know you've got something big on your calendar, prepare to rest the next day. Like you were talking about declining an invitation to do back-to-back Thanksgiving and Friendsgiving. Like just do that. No, be realistic, live in reality, have high hopes, but stay grounded and clear your schedule if you can for a few days afterwards. And then the last one is to listen to early warning signs. You were mentioning how we don't always register what our body's trying to tell us. So it's really important to get in touch with those signals when it's not a big event, so you can be in touch with them when it is. Don't wait for a crash before you get what you need, before you rest.
Yeah. I wish that just even last night when I was hanging up the lights, I started sweating and my heart started, and I felt sick, like I was going to vomit or something. And I wish at that point I just shut it down for the night instead of just take a pause and then go back to it, I don't feel like I'm that good at listening to my body, but I think I'm better than I used to be. So that's good.
I know that you are. I know that I am. And unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time to get better. And it takes a little bit of time to get used to the fact that your body is functioning differently than it was before. I have come to start talking to my body as if it was a different person, or I'll just out loud say, well, I guess we're done. I guess we're done with this. Whether it was my decision or my body's, where we go hand in hand.
It's good.
Any other bits of wisdom that you're going to try to use to get you through?
I think the biggest thing is just the planning ahead, and just allowing the spatial planning. Mm-hmm. I have a planner, and it helps me to see everything. So if I see like, oh wow, oh my gosh, there are 3 things on Saturday. Oh, I better make sure that I hire Susie to come. And that it's good because that day I was toast. And then other days you can see that these are good days to have after because they're more quiet. So it's great that you can go to this, this craft fair this day, and then you have 2 or 3 days after that are more restful days.
You were looking down as you said that at your calendar, and I in front of me also have a desk calendar that I didn't use before. I just rely on my digital Google Calendar. But like you're saying, you don't see it the same way on your phone as you do when it's in front of you. So what I've started doing is not only writing down what I'm doing, but highlighting the strenuous events, and then seeing how often I still will put a bunch of highlighted events back to back.
Read.
Well, thank you for joining me, Katherine Marie, in talking about how to survive the holidays with long COVID and other conditions that cause fatigue and limit our energy. Tell me and our listener about your podcast.
I was inspired by Zeest's podcast to make a podcast. And one of my little sisters also was very, very inspirational because I made a couple episodes and she listened and said, oh, they're really good. Keep doing it. Because I had no idea what I was doing. Still don't. But the podcast is called Long COVID Real Talk. And I just wanted to create a space to document what happens when you have flares, kind of in real time, processing things going on in my life, and creating more of a vulnerable space so that other people can relate, hopefully as well, to what I'm going through. But that's just, I don't know, it's just the flavor that it ended up becoming.
It's great. We're going to leave a link to your podcast in the show notes. We'll leave Susie's number in the show notes.
Yes. No, you can't have her. She's
well, love to you, your family, and I hope you have a great Christmas and Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for joining, Katherine Marie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody.